the little circly thing going.
We're live.
Are we live? Yay!
Live, we're live.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, Claire. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's Friday and it's going to be a nice weekend. So how can it get any better? Actually, get outside.
Exactly. I posted a picture of my poor Bello this morning looking outside the window. He doesn't like the rain much. So I said, soon we'll have some sunshine. So thank you everybody for joining us this morning. This is my Friday morning chat, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Claire Drage. She is my favorite, one of my favorite mentors. She is the CEO of the Windrose Group. And just a little bit of a background so you can understand how we all fit together. The Pettyjohn team is a team within Claire's group of the Windrose Group. And all of us, our brokerage is Mortgage Alliance. And I get that question quite often, Claire, because it's the Pettyjohn team powered by the Windrose Group of Mortgage Alliance. It's a mouthful, but I just thought we'd clarify that. And part of my team, I have a dedicated underwriter, my daughter. She doesn't like me saying my daughter, but I'm so proud of that. My daughter, Victoria. And the Pettyjohn team also has 3 agents as well. Kim, Cecilia, and Scott. So just a brief background on us. I want to introduce you all to Claire Drage. Again, she's our CEO of the Windrose Group. Welcome, Claire. Thank you so much. Today's conversation, I wanted to talk to you about real estate investors and real estate investing during this period during COVID. And I swear this will be the last time we say COVID. I want this to be a very positive outlook on where things are going. And both you and I were part of some webinars this week. And if you can just give a little bit of background if I've missed anything on yourself, and then let's just dive right into real estate investing.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, Angie, for having me. This is so cool. I love it. So so real estate investing. So I've always had an innate passion for understanding that, you know, real estate is a good solid investment in the long term. And, you know, your definition of long term can be 6 months because you're flipping a property, or it can be your principal home that you have for 20, 30 years and it's your retirement plan. So when I kind of think about my background in real estate investing, I've always invested in real estate. Also, I've had the pleasure of rewriting and teaching creative finance for Rich Dad, Poor Dad here in Canada. So if anyone's ever read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, it's awesome. And it really just kind of accentuates the power of what real estate can be, along with being able to leverage it smartly. You know, especially with someone like Angie and her team, where able to leverage and borrow money to make money, it can definitely create such a strong retirement strategy, or being able to quit your job early. So there's so many different ways that you can, you know, invest in real estate. It's so many different ways, and it's so cool to be able to find the right way for every individual, because we often refer to, I mean, we've heard this phrase, we're using it quite a lot, is today we're all in the same storm, but we're not necessarily in the same boat. So our strategy when it comes to people's real estate investing journey using real estate as security is, you know, what is your boat? What is your island? What is your comfort zone? What is right for you? So yeah, I love, it's just so cool. The best part of my role is seeing people quit their job because they can, or retire early, or I have one client who left a government job, a really good government job, and is now living overseas and literally sitting on the beach and, you know, relaxing while his wealth is growing. So, and that's as a result of real estate.
I love that. And I love that you can participate in it as an active investor and also as a passive investor. And as a little treat, we're going to give our participants today books that you've written, Claire. If you want to go through the 3 wealth buckets and how would one decide which bucket they belong to? That's a question I get asked all the time.
Well, I mean, the challenge I think sometimes is people know, everyone innately knows that real estate is a good investment, but ultimately, do you own the bricks or do you loan on them?
Yeah.
You know, how much time do you have? Like if I'm busy with 4 kids and they're in lots of activities, and I have a full-time job, my hubby has a full-time job, like how on earth am I going to buy and hold real estate? And do I want to deal with tenants and toilets? I mean, ultimately it's kind of like, how do I pick? So sometimes people don't approach it because they feel it's very complicated, and it doesn't have to be. So we found it easier to break it down into sort of 3 key wealth buckets, if you like. So, and that leads to what Angie talked about with the books. So the first one would be, I know it's back to front. Maybe we should try if I do that, it doesn't change the words, right?
No, we see it properly. We see
Oh,
it.
awesome. It's just, I don't see it when I'm looking at myself. That must be it.
Yeah.
So the first one is quick cash. So that is where if you have lots of time and you have some expertise like a trade, then the quick cash strategies could be right for you. Now, quick cash is where you're going to flip real estate. You might do what we call the BRRRR strategy. That's BRRRRRRR, which is you buy a property, you renovate it, you then rent it, refinance it to get your money out, and repeat for as many times as you want. So that specific strategy and these strategies we've just talked about, they take time, money, and expertise. So if you have those, but maybe you don't have money, well, Angie and her team have got plenty of that, but you need to build capital. You're kind of looking at going, I have a great trades, I have a great, whether I'm an interior designer, a landscaper, a carpenter, a plumber, electrician, you've got good core skills and you've got some time. If Angie and her team can find the money, then flipping or doing the BRRRR strategy might work. So quick cash is about building a bundle of cash, flipping a property, making 20,000, 50,000, 100, whatever it might be, and having that in your bank account. So that strategy does take time and a skill. So you've got to really have both of those, whether it's you and your father, or you and, someone that's a great tradesperson that you can rely on, then that can be a good fit. So quick cash definitely takes a lot more work. And that's usually the one where if you are working full time and you have the 4 kids, it's usually not the one that you may select. But in a minute, when I get to the third book, we could talk about how you could get involved in that without actually doing it.
That's right.
So number two is cash flow. So cash flow is obviously generating a monthly additional income source on your real estate holdings. So cash flow is about buying and holding. Now, we could use that BRRRR strategy because that is a quick cash and it is cash flow. It's kind of both overlap. Now, cash flow is obviously designed to own real estate that's going to provide a positive cash flow each month. So you take all your income coming in from the tenants, the laundry, the parking, the signage you've got on the side of your building, or the satellite dish on the roof, or whatever it might be, that your income minus expenses leaves you with some income. Now, quick cash flow tends to be really great for those investors that are not necessarily hands-on every day, because obviously maintaining the property and collecting rent takes a few hours, but it's not every day, depending on how big your portfolio grows. And the bigger it grows, the more you can afford and justify a property management company, pretty much do nothing. So cash flow works really well if your end goal might be to quit your job, like have that income replace your current income. So your cash flow from your real estate replace your current income. Maybe you don't want to quit your job, but maybe you want to start a business, or you don't want your partner to have to go back after maternity or paternity leave. Just have the flexibility to have an additional income source that you can rely on. I know right now I have a lot of investors that do work full time and have a portfolio, and they're actually really grateful for the cash flow from their investments, from their real estate, as opposed to, their regular job that they thought was secure is maybe a challenge right now. So cash flow is really about creating a regular income. Now, you own real estate, you are the owner. So you've also got capital appreciation. So over time, with each mortgage payment you make, it's a forced savings plan because you're paying a little bit back of what you borrowed, as well as it's appreciating in value. So one of the benefits of the cash flow strategy is monthly income, mortgage pay down, so a forced savings plan, and capital appreciation with the asset increasing in value over time. So tends to be really popular with those individuals that have a little bit of cash or equity in their principal home right now, and maybe want to leverage a bit to own more real estate. So that's the quick cash flow. And the final one is be the bank. So maybe everything I've just said to you is like, no way. I don't want tenants. I don't want toilets. I don't want to own real estate, but I have money. So if you have money, now money could be under the mattress, could be cash. It could be equity in your existing properties. It could be an RSP, a LIRA, or a TFSA. Then rather than owning the bricks, you loan on them instead. So you basically do what the banks have been doing for a bazillion years and making $1 bazillion and still do by be the bank. So you are literally going to be the lender, and you can use all of those resources to do that. So this final one is the most passive way of investing in real estate without owning it.
Claire, there's a question here. What's your recommendation for a first-time private lending investor when it comes to loan to value policy? That was from Ben. I'll pop him on here so he can have a chat. Ben, are you able to chat here? Oh, there we go.
Hey, Angie.
Hey, Ben. How are you? Thanks for your question.
No worries. Hi, Claire. Nice to meet you.
Hey, and you, Ben, and you. It's a great question. So kind of like, where do you start? If you're a newbie, you're a beginner, how do you know if it's the right opportunity for you? So, and should you be adjusting your loan to value based on your current risk profile? You know, should your first one be super non-risky, etc.? So I guess my answer to that would be, is you really need to make sure that you understand the whole process and that you have a truly, really good mortgage broker. In this case, I'm going to be biased. You can go direct to borrowers, but if you don't know what you're doing, that's kind of dangerous. So working with someone like Angie, it's all about the strong pre-screening that's done with the borrowers. Our strategy is, if we feel there's any concern with the suitability or ability of the borrower to pay back, then we're not even going to do the deal and present it to you, no matter what loan to value. Because, you know, if you did a lower loan to value because you thought that was less risky, but if the borrowers trash the place and don't look after it and lose their jobs and the market, you know, drops in specific areas, you're not really mitigating your risk. So I think the key thing is going to be understanding where you're comfortable. And if at any point you're not comfortable 100%, you shouldn't be doing it. Like right. It's no different to, do I want to bungee jump? Like, scares the hoot out of me. So probably not. So I won't do it. So it's kind of really, I think, understanding there's 3 questions that we need to answer for you. In order for you to be comfortable with any specific opportunity. And one is, why is the borrower using your money, like private money, right, and not the bank's? Number 2 is going to be, what are they going to do with it? And how do we control that? And then number 3 is, how are they going to pay it back? And so that's what we call their exit strategy. Like, if a year from now, which is the typical term, how are they going to give you the money back? What's their exit strategy? Do we have time, Angie, for me to give an example of what? Yeah. Those questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to walk you through some of my favorite borrowers, which are actual real estate investors that do this one. So real estate investors that have the quick cash strategy. So they are buying real estate, renovating, renting and or flipping. So they're creating quick cash, but they're also they're doing it multiple times at once. So if we want to provide them with a private mortgage, why are they using your funds and not the banks? So in this particular case, these borrowers are picking up properties that are below market value. So there's money in the buy is what we call it. And they have a clear plan. Let me give you an example of one of ours in the Ottawa area. She and her partner buy properties in the single family homes in the 300 to 420 range. That's kind of their sweet spot. They're old homes that probably have original owners. So you're talking avocado bathroom suites, wallpaper everywhere, linoleum, crappy tile, like just old dated properties. And her strategy is only buying within that range. Like she doesn't deviate. If she can't get it within that range, she doesn't buy because there's plenty of opportunities. So what she does is they convert them into, they convert the basement and make them into legal duplexes. So she doesn't do a basement conversion. She changes them into duplexes. So the difference being is whatever's upstairs, she mirrors downstairs. So if there's 3-bed, 2-bath upstairs, there's 3-bed, 2-bath downstairs. As opposed to a basement conversion, which could be it's a smaller unit downstairs. So she does duplication, legal duplexes. And the after value, what we call the after repair value, is anywhere from $690 to $750. Now, she's doing 12 to 20 a year, a full-time job. So why is she using your money and not the banks? Well, as we all know, banks eventually cap out investors. Each bank will usually give you $2 or $3 million, and they're like, whoa, no more, go somewhere else. But we don't have 1,000 banks to pick from. So on the acquisition, on the buy of the property, what we want to do is save the bank relationship and the bank mortgage for when she refinances it. When it's all said and done, it's a beautiful property, brand new, renovated, fabulous. So we want to save that banking relationship for them, because if we use it now, she's going to get capped out much sooner. Plus also, have you ever kind of gone to get a mortgage from the bank? Imagine you have to do an application and go in and revisit 5, 6, 8 times a month, because that's how many times you're looking to do it. That becomes just a waste of time, unfortunately. So it's much easier to use private financing. It's fast, it's nimble. We have great pre-screening of our borrowers. We have a complete opportunity package. It's usually about 7 to 9 pages long. And we have a complete profile on that borrower. So she's using private financing because it's fast, nimble, efficient, and she can use economies of scale. Now, how do we control it? It all goes through a lawyer. And if we're providing additional funds to pay for the renovations, they are only advanced on progress. If her average renovation cost is between 100 and 150,000, so we don't suddenly go, here's 150 of your money. We stagger it. We'll provide it in draws as work progresses. And how is she going to pay you back? I mean, bottom line is when she refinances with us and or sells the property. So in that example, we would say to you, you pick the loan to value. If we've shown you a track record of the 38 she did last year and the other 20 she's going to do this year, here's a social media link, here's our website, here's our site visit report from when we did site visits earlier in March. You get a comfort level. And I know this is a real long-winded way of answering your very, very simple question, but it really is, it depends, because there's 2 types of borrowers: regular homeowners and real estate investors. I am a little bit biased because I don't like regular homeowners who get private financing. And here's why. I can't control them. I can't control whether they're going to get a divorce, whether they're going to lose their job, whether they're going to get a gambling or a drinking habit. I can't control if they're going to trash the house. if they're just going to go, well, you're a rich lender, I'm going to walk away, I've got nothing to lose, I'm going bankrupt. There's less control, and it's not that we're control freaks, but we take lending your money out very, very seriously. And so a real estate investor, like the example I've just given, you're investing in her business secured against one of her current properties. Her reputational risk, if she defaults on her mortgage to you, is huge. Like, she can be wiped out overnight by a bad debt. So as a business owner, she's going to go, okay, you know what? This deal that Ben loaned on, I didn't make that much money. There was an issue. It took longer to sell. COVID-19 hit, and the window was much longer. Whatever the scenario might be, but she's got 18 others on the go that are doing very, very well. So if one doesn't go as well as planned, because they don't all go as well as expected, then she's not going to default on yours. She's going to pull off resources in her business to make good on your loan. So would I go a lower loan to value on that regular homeowner, whether it's your first deal with us or your 20th? Yes, because I have no control over those other elements. But an investor that's doing multiple with us, we have weekly phone calls, we have site visits, like we're on, and they're communicating with us literally every week. I'd go a higher loan to value and would recommend that. So Ben, I know that was a long way of answering that question, but the bottom line is you get to choose, because the golden rule applies. You have the gold, you can make up the rules. So if it doesn't fit, there's another one that may well.
I appreciate that, Claire.
And I also, my first time lenders, I always talk to them about creating their own internal lending policies. So what is their geographical area that you're interested in? What is your loan to value, let's say market shifts that you're comfortable going with? What is the build form that you're interested in? And then create your own internal policy. And as you get comfortable with our group, then you can expand, like Claire mentioned. Are you going to invest in a portfolio, a business with real estate investors, or would you be interested in a very low loan to value with a regular home by a regular homeowner, but their credit score, another part of your policy, is 510 and they've got bankruptcies? It's so important at the onset, before lending your money, to understand what your own internal policy is, and that's what we can help you and guide you through. And once we've put together and we come to our lenders with a package that we feel we've underwritten, I've got a dedicated underwriter, Claire has a dedicated underwriter, and we ask for a pool load, and that's Claire's words, a pool load of documents in order to get that package together and in front of our lenders. And we take that very, very seriously, because our license is on the line. We represent both the borrower and the lender, and we want to make sure that it's a win-win for everybody. So.
Definitely. That was a great question, though. It's kind of like, it's one of those things, regular homeowner with crappy credit, or a real estate investor that owns their principal home, has excellent credit, has multiple properties, multiple assets we can leverage. I kind of know where my comfort level is, and in good, strong markets. You know, we're not talking, you know, the middle of a rubchuck. They're in major centers because they've done their research. That core skill is there. So I won't lie to you, I am a bit biased towards investors, but that is based on experience, based on, you know, the only defaults I've seen are on regular homeowners, because it's too easy to walk away.
Yeah. And generally speaking, Claire, a regular homeowner, they're looking for a consolidation loan. There's a reason why they don't have that 50, 60, or 75K, and it's generally in second position. So second position is already riskier than first position. So there's a lot of questions. And I think the very key thing in all of this is, what is the exit strategy?
Well,
That's
and
it.
you kind of make a good point. If you have a regular homeowner, again, those 3 questions I mentioned earlier, why are they using your money? Well, the likelihood is they don't qualify for the bank because they've got crappy credit, or they're self-employed and they haven't filed their taxes for 2 or 3 years. So, you know, if we feel it's a suitable investment for you, you know, the key thing is we need to create that exit strategy plan. So if the plan is you need to get a secure credit card, here's an application, you need to pay off that collection, you need to don't max out your credit cards, do not buy a new car. Like, we can give a complete plan. But my personal challenge with regular homeowners is I can't force them not to buy a new car. I can't force them to go pay that. I mean, I can with a collection because we can make it a condition, but I can't monitor or, put them in the naughty corner if they spend too much on a credit card, on a daily basis. So it's that control for us to hit the exit strategy, because private financing for the borrower shouldn't be a permanent financing solution. And that's what we want to try and avoid. We want that, get your money back, get it out again, get it back, get it out again. That's the key.
Yeah, I agree. There was another question here, and I think it was Ben as well. Student rentals, our favorite, Claire. What are your thoughts on student rentals? Lucrative enough? And my thinking is St. Catherine's, or is it worth the headaches?
So I think you've got to weigh up. I think with anything in real estate, having a backup plan is key. Whether it's student rentals or Airbnb today, are they doing that well? I mean, that's the big question. If most of the student rentals are empty, is it worth it? So I have just as many clients that do regular, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and single family as I do those that have student rentals. So, I mean, I think we all know what the challenges could be. But the key one is, let's start with financing. So if it's a regular home and it's a student rental that's going to have 5, 6 students in it, then financing can be a challenge in order to get residential interest rates. So when you're a great borrower and you've got 20% down payment, but you're buying a student rental, it's the student rental that could impact your financing options. So there are a couple of lenders that will consider them at best rates, but they may require a larger down payment. They may require that you have sufficient assets to make them feel comfortable. So financing is a big component, because sure, you might have, $3,000 coming in from a 6-room student rental with $500 per room, and you've got parents guaranteeing the lease. So you pretty much got guaranteed income. However, if your interest rate and the capital you have to put in to buy that property is much higher, you've got to take that into consideration. Now let's look at the cons. So the cons, of course, would be that students, are they always the cleanest? I've had some of my investors that will actually build into the rent they charge that a cleaner comes in twice a month to clean the property. So they might charge a bit more, but they get a cleaner to come in. So one that gets twice monthly visit, but it is another expense. And is that going to be covered by the additional rent you charge? But let's talk about what's the worst thing that could happen. Well, obviously they can trash the place. You can be inundated with complaints from neighbors and bylaw officers. It could get shut down by the city if it's not legal, because it must be legal. If you're not doing it legal, don't do it, because your insurance won't pay out. But there might be great income, but is it great cash flow? Like, you might go, well, it's a single family, I'll get 2,000. It's a student rental, I'll get 3,000. You've got to look at that extra $1,000 you're receiving in income. What are the additional expenses you have to pay out? So obviously registering with the city and maintaining that registry, the fire code, the inspections, insurance costs will be higher because it is a student rental. Trashing the place, I mean, sure, you can claim from them and get the money. Inconvenience from neighbors calling. And also, I always like to remember the long term too. Is there appreciation? Like if it's a single family home and a nice single family, nice family living in it, is that going to appreciate more than an ex-student rental or
That's a good
a
point.
student rental in a neighborhood of 30 student rentals? I mean, my son was in uni in Oshawa and his student rental was on a great street, but we drove through streets that had sofas in the front yard where parties
Oh,
were
yeah.
happening and beer bottles everywhere, and you got to think about, is the impact of the neighboring property or your property going to still get you the appreciation in value you expected? So my thoughts would be, you've got to look at all aspects. You can't just focus on, I'll get an extra $1,000. You've got to look at what are the risks and the extra work you'll have to do, because let's face it, nothing comes for free.
Yeah. And I think another point too, Claire, is will there be a lender interested in that property in that zone?
Yeah.
So we always talk to our investors about, just send us the email, just send us the address of the location you're interested in purchasing. And in a second, we can pull up a purview. And with a couple of phone calls, we can contact our business development managers. And there's a red list, actually, of a red zone of areas that lenders are just not interested in going at all. It's been blacklisted, and it doesn't matter what we do or anywhere we go. So if Ben, you are interested in a student rental, first step is send us the address, and we can float it around to our business development managers, make sure that it's even something feasible at the bank point. No point hanging on to this with private money. It's a long-term strategy.
The other thing would be, though, the one thing to touch on would be, what if you have a child and you're thinking that you have a child going to university, first year, put them in residence, because that way you'll see if they last, and make it through to second year. But maybe in the second year, you're thinking, well, I'd like to buy a single family home and have my son or daughter live in it, and then they can find the right roommates. And that can work. That's not necessarily strictly a student rental. That may be considered just a regular rental. You're buying a second home for your son or daughter to live in. So there is kind of a way of doing it on a smaller scale, as opposed to, as a real estate investor. Sometimes it's a great way of finding a decent property, because there's some really crummy student rentals out there, like really crummy. That if you've got a good kid that's going to help look after the property, that could be a way to grow your portfolio, and then you can sell it as a student rental down the road when your child's finished university. That's another option.
Yeah, very cool. So Lori McNeil Chung, she has a question or a comment, so I'm going to unmute her. Try to.
Hello.
Oh, there she is.
There. Sorry, it actually gives me a little message on my side to unmute myself at the same time.
Awesome. Thank you.
So Claire,
go
sorry. My dream and the goal that Angie knows about is, so we are a design and renovation company, and presently we are contacted by our clients to design and renovate for them. My team has been discussing purchasing diamonds in the rough in good neighborhoods and doing the quality design and renovation of these properties to then sell as a team. Is the low end flipper more desirable to a lender than a new investment renovator in a higher price point?
That's a great question. So really good question. So I like the fact that you touched on, you're going to buy the worst house on the best street. Like that's always, you can never make, the street better, but you can buy. So that's fabulous. So yes and no. So the borrower needs to have three core things, as I mentioned earlier: time, money, and expertise. So if you came to me and you're doing your first flip, and we do first time flippers, but you're going to have the time and the expertise. So if you've already got like a core background, you've already got, like, based on what you're already doing in your day job, this is just you doing it for yourself instead of someone else. So I would look at you and go, give me your resume, give me your history, write a little 2 or 3 paragraphs on why someone should loan to you. I can give you a little bit of homework to do, and we will build, if we still feel it's valid, we'll build a profile that will make you a great borrower. Now, if you've got the basic skill and you've got some time, even if that time is managing the people you hire that do have the skill, like you don't have to physically be able to do drywall and stuff, but you know, you're going to hire people to help you. But as long as you own your principal home and you have good credit, we want to make sure that the property you're buying has got a good exit strategy. So I will tell you, I've never done the math, but I would probably say 8 out of 10 times, your first flip or your first renovation, you don't make that much money. I'm going to just put it out there straight away. And here is why. You're building your infrastructure, your processes, your selection criteria. You're getting trades, getting the right trades or the wrong trades, or the misquotes or the up quotes or the low quotes, or whatever it might be. You're relying on a huge amount of other power team members, like your realtor. Did you get it under market value? Did they negotiate hard? And what is the after repair comparables to make sure you're in the market? Did the market shift? Did you do your numbers based on a 3-month flip, but it's actually 9 months because of the timing, the market, or the trades, you know, not realizing that the painter can't paint till the plumber's been in, till the electrician's been in, till the kitchen's been installed, and when does the flooring go in, and all those kind of aspects that your first one, you don't typically make that much money. So on your first flip, I would definitely be looking at your other assets and what your fallback position will be if there's not enough when you sell this to pay everyone back. Now, so that's kind of a bit of a criteria, but should it be a $300,000 home or should it be a $1 million home? My immediate reaction would be start small, start with something that's not going to freak you out. I mean, you don't want to buy a $1.4 million luxury home and you're going to make it a $2 million home on your first one, because you've got, you know, the bigger you go, the bigger you can fall quite often, right?
Ooh, that's a good statement.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of quite nice for the first 1 or 2. This would be more of a recommendation as an investor, not necessarily from the lender's perspective, is practice on something that is manageable and affordable and has the biggest end market. Like, who is your end buyer? I mean, right now, are people buying $1.2 million luxury homes? But maybe 1.2 is a regular home in some markets. But is that first time home buyer market still super strong and going to continue to be strong? So I would say picking the strongest consumer market when you're going to sell, that's the market. Like if you know, I mean, I think about how many first time home buyers right now are talking to us about getting back into the market because I think this is the first time they can when all of this is over. So my thoughts would be, if it's your very, very first one, pick one that's manageable. You might make no money. You might make 10,000, you might make 20, but you're not wasting money or time. You're investing your time because it's learning, right? It's realizing that electrician that was great who worked for your boss, but for you, he sucks because you're the after 5 job, or, you know, whatever that might be. You'll kind of get to really know who's reliable and who's not. Make it a manageable project and not a big one. Scale up as opposed to fall down.
That is a great idea, because the reason it came as kind of an epiphany as you were saying it is that we were trying to set ourselves apart from the cheaper, non-quality, quick flip. But also there's a gamble in that.
And I would say that, you know, based on what I understand that you do as a designer, is your work can still be quality, right? It can still be a good product, but it's a product for someone that's going to pay 400,000 for a home, not $1 million. So, you know, are you going to put the highest end built-in microwaves and convection ovens and all that wonderful stuff on a 400,000 flip? No. But could it be still a nice kitchen, etc.? You know, so it's just still, I think, doing good quality work and having a good quality product is super important. It's just your end user. And especially if, I mean, I'm looking at your picture there and beautiful. I mean, it might be hard to do a crappy little house in Hamilton versus a $3 million luxury home in Oakville. But use it as your learning. It's kind of your learning to figure out the trades.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
That was a great question, Lori. Thanks.
That was really good.
Yeah, awesome. So Claire, we're almost at quarter to 12. I was going to say 11, but we started 11, quarter to 12. So I thought we'll start to wrap this up. And if there's any other questions, let's pipe in now. So it appears that we have mostly first-time people or people who are interested in that. What would you say would be my first step? How do I figure this out? We've talked about quick cash, we talked about cash flow, we talked about be the banker. What now? What do I do?
So I think that the first thing is going to be, you really need to write down or understand why you want to buy real estate. Why do you want to invest in real estate? Whether owning or loaning, it doesn't matter. Why? And often when we ask that question of our clients, like, why do you want to own real estate? Well, real estate's a great investment and my friend's doing it and he's nailing it and he's quit his job. That's not your why. Like, your why is, what is owning real estate going to give you? Like, why? Well, I want to, I was chatting with actually a client a couple of days ago, and when I asked him his why, and we actually drilled down to what his real why was, he wanted to buy, he has 4 children, he wanted to buy real estate that he could eventually have them either own or give it to them for them to sell and buy what they wanted. So his why was creating an opportunity for his children to get into the real estate market, because it's so hard for, you know, young Canadians to get into the market in some areas. So he was creating a legacy. So therefore, our discussion was around, in that particular case, the discussion was also around, okay, what does that property look like? And understanding that if you buy a single family home in Brantford, your kid might not want that one. So we've got to create a structure where you're creating the dollar amount of wealth for them, then they get to pick what they do with it. So capital appreciation was important, and also buying property that would attract good quality tenants. So that in the 6 years his first child would take to get to 25, the tenants didn't trash it, you know. So in that case, his priority was not positive cash flow each month, it was good quality tenants and capital appreciation.
Okay.
So kind of what we did next, and the strategy, one of those 3 books was aimed towards that, because we understood the why. Another example would be, I want to quit my job. All right, whether it's retiring early, really early, or, you know, just having the freedom because you're in a job that you really don't enjoy. You're not passionate about it. So
you're not part of the Windrose Group.
No, that's right. Maybe you'd like a second career as a mortgage broker, because you can tell we do mortgages, but that's boring. Like, what we really do is help people create wealth, you know, and get what they want and meet their why. So if you want to quit your job, so the next question is, what does that look like? And I don't mean, oh, it means I can be in my PJs on Monday morning at 10 o'clock instead of on a conference call. I mean, what is that income level? So maybe that is, well, you know what, my take home is 4,000. If I could hit 4,000 a month in income, that's going to be enough for me to quit my job. So therefore, the strategy you pick is the one that's going to give you the maximum cash flow with the resources you have available. And so it's kind of not a black and white. It really is asking why, and then answering those 3 questions. You know, do you have money? Do you have time? And do you have expertise?
Yeah.
So if you have money, but you can only afford 1 hour a month, that's going to be a different strategy than someone who says, well, I'm a carpenter and, you know, I've got some money, but I've got an extra 20 hours a week. That it's a different answer. So understand your why, your real why, and what your end goal is, because then which one you pick is going to be based on that. And then money, time, expertise, and go from there.
Awesome. I have Luigi Reali's asking, so based on what we're talking about, is this based on investing now versus in 6 months? And that's actually, and I have a question after that. So we've got about 12 minutes, Claire.
Awesome.
So, that's a really good question, Luigi. And if you don't mind, I'm going to allow him to talk too. So is this something we can start implementing now based on where we are in the market? What wealth bucket did you see that has, if you want to use the word suffered or kind of having a bit of a setback? And I believe that will answer Luigi's question as well.
So there's always the question, when should I buy? Is it the right time? Are we in the right market? And my answer to that is, it depends on so many different things. And it all comes down to supply and demand. I truly believe in Canada, we don't have a Canadian real estate market, and I'm not a realtor. I mean, we don't have a Canadian real estate market. I will tell you today, we're still seeing multiple offers on potential properties that would be flips in markets like London, Bradford, Brantford, St. Catharines. You know, are there other markets that are suffering? Condos in downtown Toronto, there's a lot of vacancy. It's supply and demand. So I would say to you that there's never too early to start the process, to plan. And there's only the right time to buy is when you align your why with the buy. So we always say a successful investor is a patient investor. Now, if you want to flip properties and you're looking for distressed homeowners and distressed properties, well, you know, you could be wandering around streets or getting your kids to go out, actually, well, when you're allowed to, and looking for those distressed properties, those ones that haven't had their grass cut and that kind of stuff. So I would say to you that supply and demand is a big thing. I am still seeing today offers on investors making offers. That example I gave earlier about the couple that were flipping lots of properties in a major market, they are putting offers in, like still. It's a different market. The inventory for the specific property you're looking for may be lower. So you might have to be patient. But I would say if you have the right why and you're in the right market that aligns with your why, then the buy is perfect, whether that's today or whether that's 6 months from now. Now, a lot of people say to me, but prices are going to go down. What do I do? Is the market going to crash? Is no one going to be buying homes or whatever? And again, I would say every market's different, supply and demand. So is there going to be abundance of people that come out of this and go, we need a bigger home? Like this house and 3 kids for the last 3 months has been like, bleh. We need to buy a bigger home. So are there others going to be going, I need to get out of here. I need to like separation, divorce. Are there others that are seeing this as, I need an additional income stream, so I'm going to start to look at real estate as an investment? So I can see that we're potentially going to see some changes based on supply and demand. I mean, if no one lists their home and there's only 3 properties for sale in London, they're going to go like that, multiple offers above list. But then if there's 1,000 people that suddenly list their home on June the 1st, the real estate values are going to change. But that's no different pre-COVID to now, really.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say now, though, is you've got to ensure that you're in a market. So the only time you lose money is on the potential time you could lose money on the value of real estate alone is when you sell. So therefore, do you have a backup plan? If I don't need to sell for 5 years, do I care if the values drop this summer? No, I'm not selling. But if I'm doing a flip, am I going to build in a more conservative model than I would have done in January? Yes. Am I going to build in my plan B? You know what? I was going to flip this, but the market's not right. Maybe I'm going to rent it for a year and put it on the market next year. Still refinance, still get equity out, but have a plan B. I will tell you that investors, for example, that are doing Airbnbs, you know, where all of their portfolio is in Airbnb, have seen obviously naturally drops in their revenue. But no, actually, I'm going to lie. They've seen a drop in their cash flow. They're not losing money, but they're just having to change who they're renting to. You know, it's not $300 a night times 30 nights. It's, I've got a nurse that's staying in there and I'm charging less than market rent instead. So they're not losing money in essence on the value. It's just more the strategy. So I'd say diversifying and having a backup plan, a plan B, if things don't go as you expected, because let's face it, none of us have a crystal ball. None of us.
Yeah. I wrote that down, make sure we don't have all our eggs in the same basket. And we don't foresee things like this happening, but when they happen, it's like, why didn't I diversify? Whether it's in you know, mutual funds or whatever area you're going to diversify, give yourself a piece that you're going to invest in real estate as well. Diversification is key in the end. So.
It's kind of one of those things where, like my current investors, they're taking this time to recharge, focus on a little bit of infrastructure stuff, getting your accounting up to date, actually file your taxes early. But they're getting ready. They're getting ready because there's going to be a strong market for owning real estate. There are going to be people that will need to sell, and the investors are getting ready. They're getting ready and prepared for a very, very strong summer market.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting as well from my investors. I'm going to unmute Efren because he has a question. Go ahead, Efren.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Claire, a question. So I talk to JV partners, and usually it's families that only, you know, they know the whole, I'm going to go to the bank, ask for mortgage, and not these more, I guess, advanced techniques on how to get money. So there's always that level of uncertainty, or I guess risk. And I was wondering if you have any recommendation of what I can say or something that I can share with them that actually can bring that their perception of the bigger risk if it's not that typical mortgage.
And so is that you going directly to someone else that's in essence going to be your private lender, or are you talking about when you go to the bank?
No, with talking to somebody else that usually I buy properties with. They put the money, I run the property.
Okay, so it's kind of like selling yourself. How do you kind of pitch and sell yourself and then not think that this is too good to be true and you're crazy because I've never heard of it before? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Well, no, more so that was part, now that you bring it up, but no, more so the fact, like, they'll usually put the initial money and then we go to the bank together, and we've done very simple deals so far, because every time I talk to something, you know, a little more complex, they pull back, right? So I'm just wondering if you have any suggestions on what I can tell them to bring their perception of that risk down.
So I always think that actions speak louder than words. So one of the things that we advocate a lot for our clients that do use joint venture partners. So, you know, using a joint venture partner is you're filling in that gap, time, money, or expertise. Usually it's money, right? You're going to that joint venture partner for the money because you've got the time and expertise. Right. So one thing we have found is there's going to be some people that are a joint venture partner with you that will not deviate from your current strategy, that don't want to do anything other than what they've already done with you. They'll just don't feel comfortable and will never feel comfortable. So it doesn't really matter what you say, they're not going to. However, I think that there is a journey of trust. You have strong trust with these joint venture partners on day one. And the worst thing you can do is think that trust is going to continue. without you making any additional effort other than they get their money back with profit. One of the things that we have with a lot of our investors is they provide bi-weekly updates to their joint venture partner on the progress, but the good, the bad, and the ugly. So they're not frightened of telling them that we had a challenge with this particular contractor, but here are the things that we've done, and here are 3 pictures of the current progress this week. So providing all of those updates, and during those updates on a regular deal they would normally do, add in, just to give you a heads up, we're actually looking at another project that I'm really excited about. We've started our due diligence process, and I wanted to kind of give you a snippet because it might be something that's interest to you down the line. So kind of almost like giving them regular updates, doesn't have to be bi-weekly, it could be monthly, but keeping them in the loop on what their money's doing, because no news is a perception of bad news, especially now. Like the first thing we did when COVID-19 hit was immediately reached out to all our private lenders to reassure them that their money is safe and secure. So I think it's kind of like this is like a relationship, right? It's kind of like dating, and the dating doesn't stop, because even when you're married, you've still got to have the romance or it won't last. A relationship with your joint venture partner, I think, is the same. So having that initial trust, which you've obviously got, and just keep layering on it. So as you go from what you're doing now to bigger and better and bigger, even bigger, that they're along the ride with you, because you've proven yourself, and you've also shown your due diligence that you're doing now and your market research to get you to the next project without suddenly, oh, here's the next project, and by the way, we're doing a 20-unit construction build of a townhouse project that you've not done before. Like you're kind of, I don't know, warming them up. I guess it's probably not the right phrase, but does that help? I'm sure.
Yes, yes. No, I think it absolutely does. And maybe it's a part that I've put aside over the last little bit of just keep building that relationship, even after the dating phase.
Yes, yes. You gotta keep it alive. Keep it alive.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Efren. All right, Claire. Well, we're a minute here. This has been an absolute pleasure, and I think fabulous content for us. So really, really appreciate your time, and as always, your mentorship. I have grown so much, and so has Victoria, in this short couple years. Actually, it was our anniversary, 2 years with you, just the other day. So happy anniversary to us.
Where has that time gone?
I have no idea, and it's just constant learning. And we're just so proud to be part of your team, and thank you so much for coming on today. And if you have any last words, and I think I just see someone chat over here. Oh, everyone just saying thank you. Yeah, any last words as we move on with the rest of our day?
I think the only thing I would say would be just do it, right? There is, if you have a good plan and a good structure and an amazing support team like Angie and her team, you know, they're along the ride with you. So no matter what strategy you want to get in, how big or how small, it's building that plan now. And, you know, today's the start, right? Of just having, oh, what's this all about? Let me check it out. And, but just do it, you know, with the right planning, the right analysis, the right prep work, and the right power team around you. It's not as easy as you think. And let's face it, the rich get richer, majority through real estate and lending money. Like, look at how many of the bazillions the bank executives earn. I don't know, I like to turn the tables. So let's turn the tables and take control of your wealth.
That's awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much. Thanks again, Claire. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.